Welcome to this Hope to Go. Today I want to talk about stepping out. In this Hope to Go, we discover the importance of living by faith and just what is required to fix our focus on the future. We also learn what God has in store for us is so much greater than what we've experienced to date. Now, we hear a lot about faith and the importance of faith in our Christian walk, but the practical, tangible walk of faith can seem a bit challenging because we continually try to take back control of our lives. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see." Now, when we talk about faith, the question we are normally trying to answer is, can I trust God? But today, I want to turn it around and ask an even more difficult question, can God trust you? Today, let's take a closer look at the life of Abraham, the friend of God, and see how God used him in an extraordinary way when he chose to follow God in faith. Hebrews 11:8 says, "By faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he would receive as an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going." Did you get that? This verse tells us two powerful truths about Abraham's story. Number one, God called this ordinary man, Abraham, to a place he had not yet seen. And two, Abraham obeyed by faith. And these two principles are critical to experiencing spiritual success. This is the small print made big on biblical faith. When we truly believe and trust God for the future, our past cannot hold us back and cannot in any way stop us. It'll only inform us. That's why I want to talk about stepping out. In some areas of your life, it might be witnessing to a neighbor or a coworker. It might be starting a ministry that you don't really feel qualified for. God might even be calling you to go across Canada or the world to share the gospel with those who have never heard it. Hebrews 11:6 says, "Without faith, it's impossible to please God." Now, here's the plain truth about biblical faith. A, God sees things that you don't see and knows things that you don't know. And B, write this down, God has a plan for your life that is way beyond what you can imagine. Now, here's why that command was so important. We have the benefit of Scripture, and the Bible tells us in the 11th chapter of Genesis that the people that were living in the land at that time were disobedient to God. And Abraham was living in a city called Ur. Inside the city of Ur was a temple dedicated to Nannar, the moon god. It was a pagan city, and in reality, it was a pagan world. And God had a plan for a future for Abraham that would impact the whole world, but it would require his full obedience. Remember the plain truth. God sees things that you don't see, and he knows things that you don't know. And God has a plan for your life that is way beyond that you could imagine. But see, let me add this. God doesn't care about your qualifications. He cares about your heart and your obedience. Genesis 12:2-3, it says, "And I will make you into a great nation, and I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing, and I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse, and all the people on the earth will be blessed through you." And God tells Abraham, "I'm going to make you famous. I'm going to make your name great." But just one chapter before that, Genesis 11:4, the people decided in Babel to do something great to make themselves famous, and God disciplined them for that kind of thinking. Abraham could have ignored God, but what if he had? It was through Abraham that the Jewish people, from which would come the Messiah, from whom we would receive salvation and come into the kingdom. It was huge, his obedience, but he had to walk by faith and not by sight. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. That's the plain truth, and that is your hope to go.